Ashley C. here. I'm going to be telling you about my action research project for my preschool class. I first identified a problem area. This was a lack of engagement. Students were just distracting each other and unable to answer simple comprehension questions. So then I came up with my research question, and that is, how does my preschool group respond as I implement more student-directed learning during whole class instruction? My needs assessments consisted of 15 students completing this survey here and 6 students individually responding to open-ended interview questions. The results of the survey here, I used the 4-point Likert scale, and we first talked about what each of the faces meant, and then I used the faces, they pointed to them, to understand the students' likes and dislikes concerning these activities in the classroom. I would ask them about the activity and they would point to the face, and then I coded those responses as a 1, 2, 3, or 4. From this, I found that no activity consistently received a frown or a straight face, so it was good to know that my students like a variety of activities, and I can now incorporate these activities into my action plan, knowing that there are options that will interest everyone. So the results of my interview, I asked questions for this to get qualitative data. I asked open-ended questions such as, do you remember what this face means? I pointed to the big smiley face. And I asked, what in the classroom makes you feel like this? Then I could search for themes and incorporate those ideas into my lessons. Another example from this was I asked, is there anything or anyone in the classroom that makes it hard for you to listen to the teacher? And after this needs assessment, one quote in particular stuck out. I recorded all of their responses, so let me play that soundbite for you. The student said that he just simply did not want to listen to the teacher. So now thinking about how to engage this particular student, I thought, well, what if he had the option to listen to classmates instead? What if he could use headphones? Maybe he would feel special doing that and listen to the story on the headphones. So this led to my project-based approach for implementing more student-directed learning, and the project-based approach aligns well with my literature review. From that review, I refined my definition of student-directed learning. I looked at, more specifically, to educators and looked at their philosophies of teaching and focused on empirical studies centered around those two leaders. And those two persons were Malcolm Knowles, and he was an educator and writer from the United States who wrote a book in 1975 listed here. And he defined self-directed learning as, quote, a process by which individuals take the initiative with or without the assistance of others in diagnosing their learning needs, end quote. And he was an educator for adults, so this sounds complex for my preschool group, but ultimately it means that my students get to make a choice for themselves in the classroom. And then the other educator was Loris Malaguzzi. He was responsible for the now Reggio Emilia approach to teaching. This is directed towards early childhood education, and it is focused on projects and students making their discoveries alongside their teacher. Now, I have already begun implementing more project-based lessons through the use of spinners. So This is based on choice because as long as the students complete one of the projects that are set out at the centers, then they complete my requirement, but they can go on and choose to do more as well as if they would like. And some examples, here I have a storybook that the students created. They could cut out pictures or use ones that I cut out. That was one choice. They could choose the color or not. And they created this after we read and acted out We're Going on a Bear Hunt. That's by Michael Rosen. And so looking at the Reggio Emilia approach, I supervised the putting together of this storybook, encouraged conversation among the students, and encouraged them to retell the story in their own words. And I just showed them my final product, and they could mimic that as they pleased and retell the story. So activities of choice. When they can interact with centers, they are more hopefully engaged, and that's one of the problem areas that I identified my preliminary problem in the classroom. So my action research, now I want to look at a plan, and I'm looking at, I'll collect data before and after my project-based intervention lessons. I can, now I want to focus in on more whole group, and the centers, they were roaming around as they pleased, but now I'm focusing in on story time. And so for my action plan, 1 week, the first week, I want to involve every student participating in the read aloud for story time. This is our usual activity that I'll ask comprehension questions as I read, and so now I want to keep track of their engagement. I will keep tallies, actually for lack of engagement, and I define this as when they're speaking out of turn and therefore distracting their classmates. And so I'll take the comprehension and engagement numbers from that to read aloud the first week. The next week comes the intervention. This will involve giving the students the choice of sitting and reading aloud as we did before, or now they have the choice to listen to the same story on headphones and then complete a project, maybe a storyboard. We've done this at centers before. Here's an example here. And in order to retell the story, and this is getting an understanding of if they know the order of the events. So I could assess their comprehension here, and then I would again tally lack of engagement within the two groups here. So for my assessment plan, I would work to align the read aloud questions and the project tasks so that the comprehension scores could be compared. I'd look at percentages probably, and then the tally marks would be compared from each group. And also a quick interview could be given. I could ask a question of the students after the lesson, such as, which way did you like to listen to the story better? Or how would you like to hear the story next time? So I would have percentages, tally marks, and interview responses to triangulate my data from before the intervention and after. Thank you.